open wheel here, as you can see them testing the conditions. And they've had a few trips out here, not only today, but also on Saturday, correct?
Yes, they had practice, qualifying, and 2 races. You can see they're trying to warm their tires up, a little bit of zigzagging. Oh, there's 2. I'm glad to see these 2 guys at the back. The closed wheels cars. One's a beautiful Lola Coupe driven by Joe Liebsack, and the white car is a Lotus 23 driven by Bill Seimer, who's a local guy.
We have 7 cameras stationed throughout the course, and so if anything happens out there, we'll keep you abreast of the situation. And from start to finish, we've got you covered. So the pace car taking them all out here today, and we're going to see some disparity here as well. But boy, at the top of the pack, that's going to be really fun, isn't it?
It's going to be fun to watch Miles Jackson go through the pack. He's not on the pole, but he's an aggressive driver. He's a safe driver. Everybody out here is taking care of each other to an extent, of course. But once that flag drops, you find that a lot of the good sportsmanship and taking care of your cars kind of goes by the way, and people are out there racing.
And they really like this layout here as they're now making the turn and getting ready on the long straightaway, and they will open it up on that straightaway. They will really haul out there. And this is racing at its finest. You're looking at the exhibition class, Group 5. We're underway. It's going to be really fun seeing, as you said, Miles Jackson kind of making his way through the field. That's the fun part. It's one thing to maintain the lead. It's another thing to kind of come up behind everybody. The one point in the entire course right now is going to be that straightaway, correct? The long straightaway is where he can really gain some ground on everybody.
Very true. He's also got a lot of power out of the turns. One of the things about that car is no matter what happens, he can regain top speed very quickly. And he's fast enough on that backstretch to get some air. There are some bumps back there.
Well, here comes that first sharp turn. And that's the 40 car. That'll be Kevin Rogenbach in the 1973 Rattle BT40.
Right, he won yesterday, but it was after Miles, I'd say, had pulled off.
So there's Rogenbach again in the lead. Around the final turn in this first lap, a 20-minute race here. They're all running on the long course, which measures out at 2.25 miles.
Right, that gives these cars a chance to really open up, which is good for them. See, Miles is in third still.
Well, Miles Jackson in the 1975 Chevron B29, and listen to those engines roar. People coming from all around, not only the state of Washington, but from around the inland Northwest, and really from all over. This has become a destination for people in vintage racing to come from all across the country.
Yeah, that's quite true. There's a lot of people down from Calgary, too, which is good for us that they lost their racetrack. Sorry, guys, but this is where they're going to come, so we really welcome them.
Are they going to be okay that we're going with not with the metric system as far as the layout here?
as long as they can hit the brakes at the right time and the throttle at the right time, they're okay.
We got a tight battle of second and third.
The second guy right now is Jace Romaine, who's got a Ralt, and he was second yesterday, and he's actually moving in on Kevin. Let's see, there's somebody off over there already. He was actually moving in on Kevin Rogenbach toward the end of the day, so that could be good no matter what happens with Miles.
Coming around that turn once again and heading towards that long straightaway. It's a road course for part of it, and then it almost feels kind of like an oval track with that long straightaway.
Right, there's a long straight, a fairly tight turn, and another long straight. And here they come by us. I see there's a waving yellow on the course.
Well, that's exactly why. It's been out there. Stalled car.
There it is. Yes, it is a stalled car. It's too bad. The race is just getting underway. These are purpose-built race cars, and their engines are quite stressed. So that's what happens to them.
That's George Duran in the 1987 Mazda.
That's right. I think that's probably the newest car out here, maybe in the entire weekend.
Now look at that one. It almost looked like the old Speed Racer from the cartoons, right? The white and the red. I'm sure that's not coincidence.
Yeah, that's Bill Sarmer. He's a local guy, and it's a very fast car.
It's a 1962 Lotus 23.
Yes, that was another purpose-built racing car. Very successful car. Looks like Miles is into second place.
Watch out. Again, Miles Jackson making his way through the field here. One man to catch up to now. That's still being Kevin Rogenbuck, excuse me. In the 40 car, the 1973 Brabham BT40, excuse me. It's a technical course here. What are some of the things the drivers are looking out for this afternoon?
Well, of course, they're always making sure that they're observing the flags, which is very important if there's a emergency vehicle in the course or somebody's blocking the course. Other than that, they're watching each other a lot. This is a really fun course. It's a technical course. Oh, there's a pace car out now. With a pace car on the course, everybody needs to hold their position. It's just like in NASCAR or any other kind of racing that people are familiar with. Everybody bunches up again behind the pace car so it can actually produce some good racing. You see there's a white flag out on the course. That means that there's an emergency vehicle, and it doesn't necessarily mean something serious has happened, but they've got to get a car out of harm's way. And this is what people are always looking for. You're asking what people are looking for. Sometimes before a flag comes out, the car is spun and maybe blocking the course. So they'll be taking a few controlled laps here, and they'll work quickly to get that car off the course and get back to racing.
They want to get as much good racing in as possible, obviously, and the conditions have really cooperated today. It's always kind of a crapshoot out there, isn't it? And these are ideal conditions out there for the drivers.
Oh, perfect conditions. The temperature is great. The sun is really nice now. It's sunny, but it's filtered. There's light clouds. It's just perfect. So nothing is going to interfere with the racing. Yesterday morning it was pouring rain when we got here, and during the drivers' meeting, everybody had long faces, and all of a sudden we looked to the west, and you could see a band of blue sky coming in. And ever since then, it's been nice racing weather.
And 77, that would be Chase Romaine, right?
Oh, that's correct. Geez, we've lost another guy on the course, so we'll have to get him off too. That's it's a beautiful car by Joe Leapsack. It's a beautiful Lola coupe.
Yeah, 1970 Chevron V16.
Yeah. One of the things that can happen here is that the pace car, everybody needs to go slow for safety, but we've got to keep the tires warm on these cars, and these very, very stressed engines need to be kept at a certain RPM. So too many pace laps can really create a problem for some of these cars, especially the second car here, Miles Jackson's car. So driving the pace car is an art in itself, really. Like I said, you want to keep everybody safe, but you want to go fast enough that people's engines don't overheat.
That's a tough gig, right? You got to open it up, and hey, would you mind just driving a Porsche out there as the pace car? But there's a long line for that.
Yeah, there is.
Again, your leader is Kevin Rogenbuck. He is being pushed right now by Miles Jackson.
So I believe that Chevron is right in front of us down here. It's off the course. Yeah, he's going to have to be moved. The other yellow coupe that's off the course, because you can see he's right in the way. I mean, if two cars came down there side by side and anybody had a little problem, or the cars were neck and neck and somebody bumped, or they get air back there, that could be a real bad place to be in.
Well, you're not exactly built for off-roading either, and you just, hey, would you mind just driving it off on the side here?
Yeah, very true. You can see Joe probably, here comes an emergency vehicle now. Joe tried to get his car as far off as he could. Boy, sometimes, especially in a spin, it's the worst thing, T-boning. If somebody actually spins and stalls their car right in the middle of the turn or course, that's where things can get dangerous. So they react quickly to every situation, and the drivers need to, too. You don't know how serious it may be. Now, they'll be able to pull him right off here, I'm sure. He'll be off in just a minute.
Now, the driver's safety, obviously, number one on the list for everybody here. The range of experience of all the drivers, pretty good variance there?
Very much so. This Miles Jackson, who's leading, just started racing 3 or 4 years ago, and he has a big construction company. They build a lot of Costcos. he jumped in racing in a big way, took some driver's training classes, and he bought an extremely fast car right off the bat, which we don't always recommend, but he pulled it off. And he's become he's pretty much the top driver unless somebody shows up to challenge him. He usually is running away from the field. And he's got a very good car today. This Jace, who is in third right now, I believe. He's a local kid. He's a young guy from Spokane. He hasn't raced a lot. He has a very powerful car, that Ralt that he's got. There's these are all Formula cars, but there's a big disparity here. Some of these formulas, there's Formula A, Formula C, Formula Atlantic, Formula 5000. Some of these are feeder programs into the very fast open-wheel division. So even though they're all open-wheel Formula cars, there is quite a bit of difference in their performance.
Now, again, we're not going by laps here. We will be going by time, 20-minute races.
Right.
Will this time cut into that 20 minutes?
Oh, yes. And they like to work it out so that if we ever got pushed into, like the day was ending, whoever loses time in their group, they don't try to take it out of somebody else's group. This has been kind of a long caution with pace car out, which I hope they can get some more good racing laps in.
These cars can really open it up. Looks like the pace car is still out there despite all the engines humming, and the white flag is out.
I wish they just brought them in. Yeah, they're going as fast as they can, of course.
Again, because there is first place on the line too, but you want to. It's not every day you get it out on the course and able to open it up. What kind of speeds are we going to be looking at from these exhibition class cars?
The Jackson car should be able to go about 140 on this backstretch, possibly higher. I haven't really talked to Miles to see what he can get up to, but it's a very fast car, and it's certainly capable of those kinds of speeds.
Again, Miles Jackson driving the 1975 Chevron B29, and as you said, Martin, relatively new to the sport.
Oh yeah, but he's made a big splash, and so is his brother, who drives like a lower displacement car, but he also, often in our races, those guys will end up first and second.
Miles' brother, Mike Jackson, driving a 1967 Titan MK3. With the 122 car, you see the Porsche is the pace car. Porsche of Spokane presenting this race today. And Jace Romaine, what do we know about Jace in the 77? To be honest with you, I didn't even have him on my sheet here. So what can you tell me about Jace?
Well, this happens sometimes, that people will enter at the last minute and don't make the program. And to be honest, I don't know a lot about him. I know he's a young guy, and he's from Spokane. I don't know his racing background, but I can tell you one thing. He's got to know what he's doing to pilot a car like that. It's a very fast car, and like I said, he seemed to be getting more familiar with the car yesterday, and he's moving up on the leader.
I think he's figured it out.
Yeah, I think so, whatever his background, because that's a technical car, a Formula Atlantic. They're very fast cars. I believe those were the cars that were in the old Grand Prix of Spokane, which was held about 30 years ago, right in downtown streets of Spokane.
And he is currently running in third. Again, the leader is Rogan Buck in the 73 Brabham, and then you have Miles Jackson, the 75 Chevron. He had alluded to it before.
Pace car's off.
Pace car is out, and we are back underway here after a long delay. Displacement. All these cars measured in cubic centimeters. What exactly, for the layman, does that mean?
Well, it's the total capacity of your engine. You know how much air you can push to turn your drive shaft. It looks like we've got a lead change out there.
Well, that's good. That's after that long straightaway, that first turn that will get a name there. Who do you see? Did Rogan Buck lose the lead there to Miles Jackson?
I believe he did. We're going to see in a minute.
Along the way here, and they'll be making that long turn here as well, and then down the second straightaway. And this is where those lead changes, as you said, those are good opportunities. Not on the straightaways necessarily, Martin, but on those turns.
Yes, going into the turns. That's an interesting thing. If you look at the displacement of these cars, their engine size isn't as large as some of the other much slower cars, but these are purpose-built race cars, their engines are very, very well tuned. They can make a tremendous RPM, and that's where they really get their speed. Also, their brakes are really good. They're just fantastic. I mean, these cars can, very, very fast down the straightaways, and they can brake very quickly.
So it's Jackson, Rogenbuck, 1-2 right now, and Miles Jackson has made up ground and now is starting to separate himself from the field.
I'm not, during that pace car lap, of course, this is just racing. He was able to get right next to Kevin. And as soon as that pace car went off, that superior speed, he was able to jump him right there, right after the pace car pulled off and they began racing again.
So a fortuitous turn of events, to say the least, for Miles Jackson in the 39 car. And Rogenbuck now trying to hold on to second place right now. And again being pushed by Jace Romaine, the up-and-comer in this.
That may be the best race out there. And
yeah, it had been. When Rogenbuck had the lead, the 2 versus 3 was tight. And as you said, once the pace car came out, it changed the game. And that's exactly what we see is Miles Jackson has a considerable lead and still followed once again by Rogenbuck and Jace Romaine. And they have really created some separation, 1, 2, 3 in the rest of the field.
Right, you can see Miles going a little wide there.
They have their lines they're trying to keep, but again, you've mentioned it before, keeping the RPMs the ideal, and also the weight. Where does weight of the cars play into effect here?
Oh, it's tremendously important, and you can see a lot of the drivers actually try to lose weight because every 10 pounds equals 1 horsepower is a rough, just a rough formula. So that's another, that's a very good point. Another reason that these cars with actually smaller displacement than some other cars are so fast is they are very lightweight. They're made with that in mind. You can't, however, you have to use pretty much what was in the car when it was made. That's vintage racing. There may be a better axle, there may be a better crankshaft now that you could actually use in your car if you were racing some other kinds of racing, but this is vintage racing. So you have to you have to go right up to what you could do at the time. It doesn't necessarily mean you're using the components that came with the car, but the components have to have been available that year. You see what I mean?
And that's where you'll get the inspections pre-race, make sure everything is up to snuff, and obviously there is a mutual respect among all these drivers. And these are racing enthusiasts too. They have a passion for this. They have a passion for the cars and the race as well. And they want to keep it as authentic as possible as well.
That's very true. However, they also want to win. And even very friendly competition they want to win. And they're pushing pretty hard. Miles is out there with a good lead, but he's still pushing. He wants to see what his car can do, and passion is the thing. That's what racing is all about. These people aren't making any money doing this. In fact, just the opposite. They're spending a lot of money to do this, but boy, the feel of driving a race car at high speed around tight turns is just fantastic. It's just a fantastic sensation. And when you really get into it, and then there are other cars on the track too, it's just a thrill like no other.
It's kind of like a bucket list thing to scratch off, but you're doing it a lot, not just once, but you're doing it year round.
Yeah, time after time, as often as you can, believe me. These guys will find a way to race. It's so much fun to have an exciting new course like this. It's always fun racing, but it's nice to be in a new place, a new course, something new to learn, new challenges. I mean, these people will learn this course year after year. What's your best braking point? What's your best apex?
Kevin Rogenbuck has put some distance between him and the third place Jace Romaine right now, and still Miles Jackson hanging on to that considerable lead in that white 39 car, the 1975 Chevron B29. You'll see some difference in the years too, Martin, going all the way back to 1962 in this exhibition class, all the way up to that 1987 Mazda driven by George Duran. When you adhere to that era-specific guideline as far as we have the checkered flag here. And I don't think there's any doubt about this one. It's going to be Miles Jackson. Well, what a run by Miles Jackson. Again, a relative newcomer to the sport. And Boy, he had the fastest car out there, and he really made up some ground in the early stages.
Yeah, he knows how to drive it too.
Yeah, it's 50-50, right? It's parked car. I don't know if it's exactly 50-50. I'm sure the drivers would like to tell you it's more like 90-10. And the car, if it would talk, would say it's the other way around.
Miles does have a car, I've got to say, that he can make a few mistakes, and it's got the power to get right back in there.
That's a good way of putting it, Martin. And making no mistakes there today, Miles Jackson, the winner of this exhibition class, the Group 5. And what a run by him as he takes down Kevin Rogenbach, who fought valiantly, and then Jace Romaine coming in third.